Everybody, it's Eugene here and welcome to Click 3D. This is the program where we talk about 3D technologies like photogrammetry, laser scanning, structured light scanning, iPhone LiDAR, all kinds of different things. Occasionally, we also get to talk to some really interesting people. These are people who are developing software, they're working on hardware, or maybe they're providing some really cool services and stuff like that. So today, that's what we're going to be doing. We are going to be interviewing Josip Rukavina, and he is the CEO of Vectrino, and it's an interesting company. I saw it first on LinkedIn, and they were posting some really interesting videos about how they are documenting things underwater. They're using photogrammetry with a camera and a pole, and they're doing keyways and sort of the edges of where sort of water meets concrete breakaways and things like that. So I thought it was super interesting because that kind of concept can be applied to many other areas, whether it's going to be in forensics or architecture or engineering or whatever it might be. So this is an interview that I had with him not too long ago. And I find it pretty interesting as to what they're doing, the kind of technology they're using, and, what they're providing to their customers. So let's get right to it. This is the interview with Josip Rukavina of Vectrino, and I hope you enjoy it. Hey, Josip. Hey, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and looking forward to asking you some questions about your work.
Thank you very much for inviting.
I want to begin with your background and sort of how you got into this whole thing. So were you, did you get into university or did you get into school thinking about, photogrammetry or doing this kind of work, or did it just kind of fall upon you later on?
Yes, my first job was, it was more water and sewage company. I finished civil engineering and then went to work at one company, always liked it to make videos, films, making information about the data. Then I stuck in GIS department down there, and then I needed to visualize everything in 3D. Always thinking about it would be great to have everything in big data sets, but remember it was 20 years ago, so it wasn't so easy to make such a data sets. And I was always in the BIM stuff because I wanted to move the pipes around the manholes and everything. But at this point, it wasn't working properly. And 10 years ago, we opened a Vectrino company. I left the former company and opened a new company, and we started to work. My background is civil engineering, and we started to work with the 3D models, modeling. We knew something about it, and the company started to work in this area. And then later, you start to use scanners, laser scanners. Then we have these amazing projects with scanning big old cathedrals, making them in 3D, then print them in full transparent material, and then grows up. And then we went into drones, and because drones at the early start, nobody used them, and we were unique at that point. And then everybody started to use the drones, DJI grew up. And everything went to the level when we wanted to position our company in a special way and found out that photogrammetry above the water is not the same as photogrammetry under the water. It's so much difficult to make it properly. And then I asked our engineers, are they capable of doing such stuff underwater? But the major thing was that we had one client, we did inspection with ROV underwater structure, and he asked us, okay, everything is great, I like the video and everything, but can you make it in 3D? And this was the moment that I realized that there is something that can be usable in the future, because people like to drain the ocean and see what is happening. Okay.
So
yes.
I was just going to ask you, when you first started then, so you were using video, or you had an ROV, or the customer had the ROV, whatever. So were you actually using video to start with? Were you using photos? And what software were you using when you first started?
For the starter, it was the Rhine. The range was so big. We wanted just to make the photos, and then you first use the GoPro, then you go to 1-inch sensor, then you go to the 4/3, and then you go to full frame sensor. You know the story. It is always the same, and then also the video, and then you have to place everything in the 3D space, and then and the photogrammetry was a really nice thing to place everything. we just had this big problem with the banana effect, that the effect that is appearing everything, and in the underwater it is going bizarre. It is not in air, you can make it with the GCPs, but underwater can be really heavy. And then we had this luck with the COVID, and we had a lot of time and few engineers, and then the COVID was bad for the business and for earning money, but it was great for R&D.
So let me ask you, because you talked about already some of the issues with underwater, and I've interviewed a couple of people before who are doing, for example, they're divers, they do shipwrecks and they do things like that, and so they have to deal with lighting issues, they have to deal with clarity, and just some other stuff. But nobody's ever talked about the distortion effects underwater. So I'm just wondering, what kinds of things have you had to deal with in some of your jobs? And I'm sure that sometimes you get there, the water's got to be a mess. It's too cloudy or something, no?
Yes. Okay. Basically, we are aiming this technology only to 40% of the world seas. Okay. We will work in clear water to medium turbidity. It is around 50 NTU. So it basically means that you can see the wall if you are watching from 1 meter distance. Okay. If the visibility is half a meter, we can do it, but it's not feasible. And then we had this, which was not, it was, I wouldn't say luck, but we started immediately with the flat vertical surfaces, which were 500 meters, 1 kilometer long and everything. In curvature, this banana effect appears especially on this vertical stuff that you have to make, because you can easily see this banana effect that is normally occurring on any kind of 3D model, on any SFM, structure from motion technology, or photogrammetry, whatever we would like to call it. But in our case, it was so easy to see it, because client easily see the vertical above, and then later he has this, I have big hands and always showing with them. So, but the idea was to move this out of the picture. And we found out early that the point isn't just in the lenses, it is more in the domes. We are always buying the cameras. So we will go to Nikon, Hasselblad, or Canon, whoever. Buy the best solution, then buy the best lens. And then when we come to the dome, then we will just buy the first thing out of that we can find on internet. So
right.
We found out you cannot work with the small domes. The light is going in different direction. So when we move out of the picture we get in the picture that we need to make proper dome that is going to cover our stuff, that doesn't need to, it should be not so expensive, because you will always scratch it. You can buy the great equipment and the great domes, but if it's too expensive and you can easily scratch it, then it's not good for the field work. So we changed more than 10 domes to find out the real dome that is the dome that we are going to use for something. And when we understand what is happening with the light, with the domes, then for us, any kind of camera became great. So we can use it with a GoPro 5, 2, whatever. You take just any kind of camera, with that camera, we can use it. We not just need to make calibration parameters right, and we need time to make calibrations, but we can make photogrammetry from anything. And we can prove that we are right at this moment because it is easy to understand, because walls suddenly became flat. They are not anymore in banana.
So that's interesting. So you're doing, so most of your work is doing, like, for example, the breakwater or the key wells, right at the edge of the water and land, let's say. And then you're doing it from land mostly, yeah? I'm assuming that you got poles and you got things. So yes. Is it better for you to capture a wider field of view underwater? Like, is it better to have a really wide angle, or is it better, like, what's the optimal distance or that you should capture?
Yes. Okay. Always the wide. Okay, if you're making the photogrammetry under the water, always white. I watched one of your videos online, and there was the guy who also mentioned the same thing, and you immediately see that the guy understands what is happening. So as wider as it can be, but it cannot be the wide lens for, let me say, it cannot be a Ring doorbell wide lens. You understand? It needs more light. Okay, but as wide as it can be. So,
got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you just like the poles. So you're using some kind of pole, and you must have some kind of remote trigger or something. So do you see something like on a phone or a mobile device? And you're
okay. I will explain. Our business model is always about what is the biggest amount of data you can acquire per day. And we always scale our service on the site by technician which is working on the site. Our major idea was to make 6,000 square meters per day with one solution. So basically, if you have key wall which is 600 meters long and 10 meters deep, can we achieve it with a carbon pole and cameras, which can be carried on by technician whole day, so he can make 6,000 square meters per day. And we achieved such a, it is 10 hours working day, and it needs to be ideal. Everything needs to be great. There should be no sun at upper level of water when you have the waves and everything, but you can make 6,000 square meters. And this is stunning because you immediately have this information about the underwater, and the data level of details is so great. But the idea of using photogrammetry in our case was to make it more financial and in economical way. So we need to overlap the data through 3 or 4 inspections to understand what is happening with the construction underwater. So all the photogrammetry technology in our case is to make calculations when some construction will come to the location, then it's going to crack. Can we make it 3 more years without repair or something like that? So it is always in the how to use it with the overlapping in the future.
Okay, I went to your projects page here, and so I'm bringing up a model here, and so I was wondering if you could talk to me about this particular project, because you're obviously combining the above ground, the photogrammetry. I'm not sure if you're doing this with scanning or drone, whatever, and then you're doing it with the underground or the underwater, section. So I'm curious about how you align the 2 data sets.
Oh, because our solution, the thing that we use, it has double INU units, which is one is above and other is under the water. To explain to people who are not using it, it is basically the same thing that you have on the mobile phone, so you know directions and what happened, because you have small accelerometers and then you have small movement and everything. It will always work properly if you have acceleration. If you have a constant speed, it won't work. But when you have such equipment on site, and then we also have GPS RTK, and we have a connection to N-Trip, which is basically in our country and all around the world 2 centimeters in X epsilon, and in Z maybe 1 or 2 whatever arrays in a local country with the surveying team and everything. So we easily overlap the data. And in Croatia, the tides are small. We have only 40 centimeter of tide up and down, so it's not like Atlantic or something. If you have Atlantic or the sites where the tide is high, then you can easily overlap everything. But in our case, we only have this 40 centimeters. But because all the photos are great, we understand where the X epsilon Z of every photo is, so everything comes really, really easy to overlap.
So what is it that your customers are really looking for? Are they just looking for damage? Are they looking for wear? Like what kinds of things are they looking for underground?
Okay. At this project that you immediately saw, the local port is, I'm not sure why, but they want to digitally make the whole port under the water. they want to know what is happening with their structure under the water. And this one was the part of whole port. This is one pier. They wanted to see what is happening, because this pier was also existing in the Second World War and it was heavily bombed. So they wanted to see all the details, what is happening with everything. And you can see you open now the photo, and you just see everything that is above the water level, and down you don't see it. So with our inspections, you can clearly see everything downside. And you can see also there is a boat on the left side. We digitally removed it out of the picture. So if you see the model, you will just see the shadows. And with this carbon pole that we are using, whole model was done with a carbon pole. We didn't use ROV or anything like that. Everything was done with a 50 meter or 50 feet long carbon pole.
So what are some of the, you got a bunch of projects here. I'm just wondering, like, what have been some of the more challenging projects that you have had to work on?
Challenging project. Every project for us is a challenging. Now we are working on a new project of marina. It is Old Harbor, and they are now making the marina in this region. And client wanted to make everything in BIM software. They want everything in 3D. And our model is the start of this project. So we have to build everything up. The main thing, what is happening now, and the challenge is we have around 200,000 photos. So the challenge is to manipulate with these photos properly, because we know the location of every of this photo. It is not a problem. You're now showing the old torpedo post that we did inspection. I think this is the one of the first projects that we did in the 3D.
Really?
Yes, and maybe it is good to mention that our hometown where Vectrino is located, we developed torpedoes, so we were the inventors of torpedoes. So torpedo is big stuff here. So yes. Navy mine was developed in north of Germany, and torpedo was invented in our home city of Rijeka. So
I did not know that. That's new information for me.
Yes. I can show you. I can send you some photogrammetry of sunken, never used torpedoes under the water on 40 or 50 meters of depth. So
yeah,
without
cool.
explosives. Yes.
Do you find that you have to use, I mean, you mentioned before we were talking about, using laser scanners, photogrammetry. And so normally when you do something like this, are you using a combination of tools like for above ground or below, or are you pretty much set
Always.
on photogrammetry now?
No, always. We will use everything. Every project has its own specialty. So we will use all the equipment that is on that site at this moment. We will never, if it's necessary, we will use helicopters. For us, the level of scale, it's not the constructions under the water and above the water are so different. So you have to scale it. The equipment, you have to scale it different. And also, we will use iPhone as a GoPro or Hasselblad, full frame Hasselblad. For us, if the project needs it, then we will use it properly. So we will never say this equipment is not good or something. And especially also our equipment. This is why we are using this licensing model to the clients. Equipment is changing, and you should buy stuff. If you're doing inspection, you should buy stuff off the shelf. So you go in the local market store and buy it. If you're doing the project in Aruba, how you will find a full frame camera? So you will maybe find a GoPro, but it's not feasible to find the best Canon on the market over there. So.
Right. So where are you doing a lot of things worldwide? I mean, your team's having to fly different places and
yes,
there's equipment, right? You have to bring.
Yes, we are using it locally. We are providing service locally, Croatia, Italy, France, this Mediterranean part. But there is a licensing model to our licensees that can use the equipment around the world. We have now few projects around the world. It's not feasible to us to fly around because we are a small company, less than 10 people. And we like to work in the Mediterranean. It is clear, nice weather, and so much work. so we would never like to go to become the company of 500 people, even though it's necessary. The amount of structure under the water that needs to be inspected properly in just Mediterranean is huge. Or North ports, or America, Gulf, you cannot imagine. The level of details, not the level of data, the level of data that needs to be brought up from under the water is huge.
So there's people that are doing underwater work, right? But are they doing? It's more deeper water. They're not focusing on the breakwaters or the key wells. They're focusing on other things.
Yeah, the main problem with the underwater photogrammetry, if we are talking about it, people are always using it as a point project, never getting the bigger scale of underwater photogrammetry. And basically, the technology under the water is basically divided to companies that are doing the video slam. In offshore, the technology with it is basically the same as the photogrammetry, but different way of approach. And then you have the people who are using photogrammetry. We didn't find the companies similar to us on the market who are capable of making underwater inspection of 10,000 square meters in 2 weeks. Okay. They cannot bring it to the 3D space. They can make the inspection, everything, but then it goes to the folders and everything. And you just saw our website and go on site and see this near up and just try to click and open the photos, and you immediately understand everything. And the main reason for that is it was, the big data in up to last 5 years, it wasn't so, it wasn't so easy to bring such amount of data in the cloud to share to everybody. So the reason I think it's going to change in the future.
Okay, so let me ask you a question though. So you're talking about 3D models. So what is it that you're delivering to your clients? Like, what are they asking for? Are they looking for the virtual tour stuff? You saw that in the Nira app, you could put photos in with the 3D models. Are they looking for drawings? Like, what kinds of things are they asking you for?
When first it was hard for us to sell the digital twin, this still is not a digital twin. It needs some additional data on it to call it a digital twin. This is just a great representative of what is happening under the water. And clients always ask us, bring us a paper, so give us the cross-section, what is happening on some location or something like that. But it is changing. In last 1 year, they wanted to sign a contract with us so they can easily go to this our environment and see all the models, have a username and password without installing anything on their computer. They just need a time slider between two inspections to see what is changing. Okay. They firstly bought a paper report on a structure, and now they wanted to have it in a 3D. We had a discussion with the client. The client said, "Okay, can you make paper with 100 photos?" And yes, we can make it, but for your project, there is 100,000 photos. How to pick this 100 from you? But we can make it everything in 3D and everything. It is a little bit challenging now because we are changing the construction. The construction is also changing. If you see the people who made construction now, they understand they have to have small drone on the site. The policemen need to have small drone. It is changing. The policeman without a thermal drone is a policeman who has like he has only one gun, and with the drone he has two guns. So he won't fire anything about. He won't fire it, but if you have it, you can easily see. The thermal drones in the night, amazing. There is nothing that you cannot find in.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because I work in the forensic space, right? So if somebody wanted to get started or let's say, for example, there's a case where, I don't know, there's a car that goes off of, just off of the levee or breakwater or something, and it's just and they want to be able to record it. What would be a good starting set of equipment, or maybe some tips or things like that for somebody who wanted to get started on that? Yeah.
Okay. Buy the smallest ROV inspection class, €1,000. Okay. Buy GoPro. I would advise if you can buy 8 or 7, not 10, because video stabilization and everything goes with the new models goes in. You have to switch everything off, because when you're doing photogrammetry, no stabilization should be used because it's cutting and
right.
You need raw data. Okay, so you need a camera that you can buy refurbished or not new for $200 and small drone then you can buy from $1,000. Okay, and then you go to dive. Okay, you have to have a visibility and medium turbidity. So basically it means you have to be 1 meter from the object. If it's shallow water, don't use lights. If it's deep water, use the lights, whatever lights you have, but the light needs to be unique. And then start the bracketing. Okay, I'm right, the bracketing is the right word. Every 1 second, and be as slow as you can be. Okay? And later, when you think that you collected all the data, go around one more circle. Okay, and this is then the car, you can make an underwater model without any problem, but you have to be near to the object. So if you're slow and half meter of the object, you will properly, and if you move really, really slow, you will make great models.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, so you're taking timed shots. They're timed at a second apart, and you're just kind of moving slow so that you're not getting any blurring or any problems there. So that was interesting. Yeah, and also the GoPros, that was an interesting one. So I have a GoPro 7 that I use. It's one of the older ones, and it's been good to me, so I just keep using it. Yes. But also that's interesting about the 10. So yeah, even on my newer camera, sometimes I shut off the stabilization because you don't want you don't want the picture to shift inside of the frame. So that's a good point too. And then do you ever use video, like now, because there's like 8K video, 5K video, 4K, do you just record at 30, 60 frames a second and then try something like that? Or is the image quality just not that great?
It is challenging. You need to go to 4Ks and you have to go to 150 frames per second. And then you're building data sets which are huge. You understand me? And then you have this problem with the codecs. Then, even though you made 120 frames per second, you can have blurriness of something with the video. Video can be started, but then later in Office, it is challenging to export right frames from the video, even though it seems so much better at the start because you collect everything with the video. The data set and the amount of the data you are bringing is going huge. So let me say 4K video with 120 frames per second. What is 1 minute data? 2 gigabytes or okay. So you have 2 gigabytes, then you have to export it to photos. So you have another 2 gigabytes, and then it goes. Okay. If you go in less than 120 frames per second, then you will surely have this blurriness. It is the same as colibri flying and or tennis ball. If you have higher frame rates, you can stop motion. If you don't have it, so if you're doing something just like small project, then video can be okay, but. Okay. If not, okay. And always, if you're making photogrammetry, and this is not the starter kit, it is use as many cameras as you can have.
Okay.
So it's
Well,
many cameras.
I just want to ask you one last question here because we're getting on in time. Is there anything you can talk about like what's next for, for you, for the company? Are you working on any interesting research projects you can talk about, or any new kind of things, maybe a big project or something like that? What's next for Vectrino?
You have to understand, I'm all in the machine learning and AI. This is just a phase of our company. We started this project to understand what is happening underwater, but I won't look, or anybody from my company, no engineer, no from the marketing department especially, we won't give them 200,000 photos to look where the cracks are. So it is not the future, understand me. And we are building so many data, but we needed to collect data by ourselves to better understand what is happening, what is the time frame for the data collection and everything. But the future of Vectrino is 100% machine learning. I'm not sure, is it artificial intelligence? Because I think we are not so smart to understand in different light environment what is happening with the cracks and everything underwater. But machine learning is our future 100%. So all the data sets, I already mentioned today, but this is the goal. You have the big port. When you have to renovate some parts of the port, in which time frame is crucial to understand, because you can easily overinvest or easily do not invest enough, so you have the construction collapsing, and it wouldn't be wise to have it like that.
Excellent. So look, Josip, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, obviously they can go to your website here. So let me just bring that up. That's vectrino.eu. That's a good spot.
Yes.
And also, can I show your LinkedIn profile? Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes. I have around 10,000 connections, so another
there
one.
You go.
So please.
And people can get you there too. Well, look, I think it's pretty cool. I like the stuff you guys have been posting, some really good data and some really information that you're posting 3D stuff online. And unfortunately, I don't live right beside the water, so I would like to do more in this area. You never know when it may come up or whatever. So I really appreciate your time. I thank you for the information and sharing. And I wish you guys all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.